It all began on a lazy Monday. I was watching Furia play against Astralis for the IEM Katowice 2025. As I was watching the game, I noticed something that started intriguing me. CHELO, a player that, in the last Shanghai Major, did some solid performances, including one of the best of his career, carrying Furia to the only Spirit defeat on the competition, was really underperforming against the Danish team. It felt like every time a round started, he would be already dead. How can something like this happen in such a short period of time? So I decided to check his HLTV profile, and oh man, that scared me. He's been going up and down like a roller coaster ever since CS2 got released, and this realization sparked something in me. Is CHELO the most inconsistent player in CS2? In one match, he'd dismantle Spirit, the current major champions. The next, he'd struggle against lower-ranked teams. How could someone swing so wildly? I needed answers, not just for CHELO, but for every pro. Thus began my descent into spreadsheets, math, and 100+ hours of CS2 demos. To measure inconsistency, I needed data, lots of data. I analyzed every pro that played at least 100 matches against top 30 teams. So I only analyzed games played against equal-ranked teams, so we don't have too much outliers. The goal? Quantify something that is almost impossible to quantify: human unpredictability. It was some hard work. I dedicated hours in putting all the last 100 matches of every tier A to S professional player in CS2 inside one spreadsheet, and then start doing some coding to gather the most information possible to end up with one number, an index that can tell how inconsistent a player really is in a certain interval. To get to the inconsistency index, I took it one step at a time. At each step, I picked up an important index, kind of like collecting puzzle pieces that helped me move closer to my goal. The steps that I took were the following. Step 1. The average rating. Simple. I got every single rating from every single match played by the player and divided by the quantity of matches. In the end, this is the ranking of biggest and lowest average rating. Nothing surprising, right? Step 2. Standard deviation. And now, enter standard deviation. The drama score. It measures how far ratings stray from the average, so it is essentially a consistency score for CS2 players. While average rating tells you how good a player is overall, standard deviation reveals how consistent their performance is from match to match. High deviation equals chaos. CHELO'S deviation. It's kinda high, but not even close to the big fish. And this has a reason that I will explain further. First, let's take a look at the results of using the standard deviation formula. As you can see, the players that variated the most are, in their majority, really good players. But why that? Well, there is a reason. Players can be inconsistently bad, but can be inconsistently good too. Take Donk for example, that is the first place in the ranking. He varies his rating a lot, but for the best. He is a really good player with an average of 1.38 rating that have extremely high outliers. He has 8 matches where he hit more than 2.0 of rating, something that some players couldn't hit even once in their whole career. So because of that, we can't use only standard deviation to measure inconsistency. We want the BAD inconsistency, the inconsistency that actually hits on a player's performance. Step 3. The variation rate. The third index that I found is the variation rate, a percentage that shows how often a player's performance dramatically flips between struggling and dominating. Higher percentage means more chaos. A lower percentage means more stability. First rule, the threshold. I set the dividing line at a 1.0 rating. Below 1.0 means the player is underperforming. Above 1.0 means they're stepping up. Second rule, minimum swing. Not every tiny change counts. For a shift to matter, the rating must jump at least 0.5 points in one direction. Small wobbles, like moving from 0.9 to 1.1, are ignored. Only big swings are tracked. Step 4. The Adjusted Inconsistency Index, the AII. Finally, we have all we need to calculate an index that will tell us how inconsistent a player is. Until now, we learned something. Inconsistency isn't just about one thing. It's a mix of a lot of factors. In our index, we are going to consider 3 things: the average rating, the standard deviation, and variation rate. The Adjusted Inconsistency Index will combine these into a single score between 0 and 1000. Players score higher if they have high volatility, cross the 1.0 line frequently, and hover near that threshold on average. So, the higher the Adjusted Inconsistency Index, the most inconsistent the player really is. This index is the final piece of the puzzle, a way to rank players from rock solid to pure chaos. Now, let's see who tops the list of unpredictability and bottoms it. The rankings are next. So, let's begin. I'll list now the top 5 most inconsistent CS2 professional players, according to the Adjusted Inconsistency Index. Remember, the index goes from 0 to 1000, and all the calculations are made based on the last 125 matches played in the highest level of CS2, the Tier S. Also, it's important to remember that the objective of the indexes are not to attack, disrespect, or minimize their effort. All of the players on the list are highly skilled, talented, and among the best in the whole world. All we're doing is to show what we can discover about their performances using data analysis and mathematics. With that being said, let's begin. Opening our ranking, in 5th place, Rain from FaZe. With an average rating of 1.04, a deviation of 0.3629, and a variation rate of 27%, Rain scored 769 on our Inconsistency Index. The main reason he got so high on the ranking is due to his high variation rate combined with his near 1 average rating. In 4th place, we have Zorta from BetBoom. While slightly lower in deviation than Rain, Zorta's higher variation rate of 29.84% and his lower rating earned him an inconsistency score of 782, putting him in the 4th spot. Claiming 3rd place and the bronze medal is Ema from Navi. I know, it's kind of weird seeing such a recent major winner in such a high spot on our list, but there's a reason. Despite a strong rating of 1.12, inconsistency reigns in Ima's performance. With a deviation of 0.3670 aligned with the highest variation rate in the top 5, 32.26%, Ima scored 792 on the index. The silver medal goes to Fame from Virtus Pro. Fame's lower rating, combined with the highest deviation in the top 5, 0.3674, and a 30% variation rate, resulted in an inconsistency score of 800 and claiming the top 2 in the ranking. And finally, the title of Most Inconsistent Player goes to Safe from MIBR. While showcasing flashes of brilliance, like his ESL Pro League semi-final run, Safe struggled to maintain form against top-tier teams. Even though Safe didn't get any of the highest scores in any metric, his overall stats combined made his score go above every single player in the list. So, this makes Safe, with 816 points, the most inconsistent CS2 player according to our index. But you may be asking yourself, what about Chelo? The guy that inspired this whole thing, where is he? Well, he is in the 17th position, scoring 679 points. Overall, he's still on the top 10% most inconsistent players, but that close to the top 5. And just to feed your curiosity, here are the top 5 most consistent players and their score. These players were able to master the technique of being stable in their performances, not varying much in neither direction. And with the results, It's time to say goodbye. Thanks for watching the whole thing. It means a lot to me. If you like this kind of content and is interested in watching more of this, consider subscribing. Love you, bye.